guys, Steve Coles from the Joint Physiotherapy here, just going through early phase stretch shortening cycle assisted work that you can do for one leg at a time.
Alright guys, one of the earliest kind of ones after we've seen that we can take some force through the lower limb, okay, is just working on a little bit of stiffness through our pogo jumps, okay, or our skipping. So this is going to work really well in towards when you're working someone towards return to running. They might be doing some running technique stuff at the same time. So our pogo hops, relatively stiff through the knees, okay, really just trying to create that Achilles like a spring. So you can also do those single-legged, okay? Or the great one, and research recently has come out to show that skipping 5 minutes as a warm-up improves, I think it's about 5K sprint times, okay? So skipping, don't forget the humble skip. I usually give it in volume of repetitions, okay? So you say, give someone a maximum amount of repetitions that they want to do in any one session. Remember, high loads with plyometrics, so you don't want to be overloading. Able to assess how you're going, actually creating some stretch shortening cycle stuff. Quite often as a physio or an SSC coach, you'll be wanting to look at loading that, okay, and then testing it further. So to load it, a good way to look at is some loaded squat jumps, okay. Usually best powers created with this of about 20% of the person's one repetition maximum, 20 to 50%. So usually for multiple repeated jumps, and you're just looking at their technique, how they're absorbing their force. So up, good, and usually no more than 5 reps. Cool. At this stage of training, guys, we can also be looking at some other power exercises to have a look how we can absorb higher levels of force, okay? So things like our power cleans at this stage are really good ways to be able to create and absorb force. Okay, so going from that position there and jumping to catch. So again, this is going for more your posterior chain. Going from that position there, jump. Okay guys, so when we're getting up towards the high level return to sport running stuff, then we've got to be looking at being able to decelerate and then rapidly re-accelerate. Okay, a great way to train that is things like depth jumps, okay, and drop jump landing. So your drop jump landing we did before, this is now going to create force from that, okay? So jumping off as high as you possibly can, okay? Or stepping off as high as you possibly can. The further out you jump, the more force you're going to have to decelerate before you go again. So the smaller ones are going to be good for little, like quick stiff tendon loads, okay? The further out you jump, the more force you're going to have to decelerate through your muscles, okay? So before you jump again. Cool. So once someone's been able to actually surpass kind of 70% strength, 70% endurance, 70% kind of a single hop creating power, and you're wanting to return them to things maybe like change of direction, some small-sided non-chaotic training, okay, we've got to actually have a look to see how that whole lower limb component can take the stretch shortening cycle. So not only creating and absorbing the force, but then having to recreate the force after being absorbed, okay? So this is going to be your double jump tests, your double hop tests, okay, your lateral hop tests. So anything where you're actually having a look at the stiffness of the tendon. So these type of things, what you're looking at is how good as well your double or your triple hop is compared to your single hop to see what their kind of reactive strength index is as well there. So what you can have a look at, okay, is your double, sorry, did you get me there?
A little bit, not the last.
Cool. Of your double hops, okay? So how far you can get on 2. Okay, and then same with our broad jumps, okay? And also, a good one to assess is a broad jump to a max vertical jump. Just looking at length, technique, and the type of ground contact noise that you're getting. So that's one of the big ones to look at is, are they landing? Is it sounding nice and crisp? Is it sounding like a big thud? Cool.